What's up guys, welcome back to Crossworld TCG. My name's Logan and today we're going to be covering my yellow Galactic Frieza. Definitely not Storm, but it is Swaps deck. I had a little extra space, so I threw a little edited picture down in the corner saying it was Storm the entire time. As you guys can see, a lot of the base deck is from the yellow part of the Storm engine. The initial idea was to use the Galactic Frieza leader, which its ability is to untap a card at the end of the turn, so you can like untap your Gotens and stuff, to just restand your board constantly. That way your opponent had to use hard removal to clear your threats, and then to also put an Ox King down on the board in order to protect everything. So going off just the leader, it's a yellow Frieza leader. He, on the front side, like I said, he can untap 1, and then he awakens, he draws 2, and then on his backside he attacks, draws 1, untaps 2 at the end of the turn. So it's really cool. With the swap engine you can awaken really quickly for just an insane amount of cards. He's also a yellow Frieza army leader, so he gives us access to a very powerful card, which is Cold Bloodlust. This deck I kind of built to tech around the Cell Android matchup, because that matchup can be kind of hard if you're not playing the blue energy to kill them as fast. But other than that, let's get into this main deck. We have 1 Scientist Fu, 1 Mirror Creator Absorb, 1 Hidden Power E Supreme Kai, all these tech 1-ofs, and the 1 tech Battering Laser. Before, my original list didn't have any of these cards, and I was playing it and I was realizing I needed ways to actually end the game. So as much as I hated every time I changed it to look more like the traditional Storm main deck, I kind of hated it. But these cards just do everything you want them to do. After putting on a ton of pressure, Mirror Creator Absorb swinging in with a 1 double strike that you can easily get to because you go through so many cards in this deck. You draw a ton of cards. There's like 5 or 6 cards in this deck that draw 2. Allows you to put double strike pressure on for game. The Scientist Fu is an additional double striker. My original list, I found I was missing that, so I added him in. And yeah, I don't think those cards need too much explanation. Moving on, we have 4 Successor of Hope. We're playing a more swap-centric deck, so we have tons of targets. There's, what, 6, 10, 16 targets in the deck, so you'll always have a target for swap, which is really cool. Or for your Successor of Hope, that's actually good for the situation that you're in. And then I'm playing 3 copies of Ox King Data Heart. This card's really cool because it allows you to protect your Gotens from any battle-based removal, and then thanks to our Frieza army leader, or our Galactic Frieza leader, we get to restand our Gotens every turn. So this deck is a little bit slower than Storm, so I opted to play the Ox King Dad at Heart, but that's simply because we're going to have a little bit more extra yellow energy than other Storm lists, because we don't need a blue for our Senzubin plays. Moving on, 4 Bardock the Progenitor. You want to see this every opening hand. This card's fantastic. Gets you into your whole deck, gets you into all of your aggressive plays, adds cards. Great card. 2 Adoptive Father, Son Gohan. This card's really cool too. It's just a blocker 1-drop if you don't want to take the life with Bardock because you're running low. Moving on to some of our extra cards that we play in the deck. There's 3 Cold Bloodlust. This card is really cool. Unfortunately, it doesn't stop Gogeta, but hopefully with this deck you'll be able to kill them before they're able to drop Gogeta on the board. In my testing, I've been able to win games on turns 3, mostly 4. So if they have to be ramping through their deck pretty hard to match curve with you. And then it's also really good against Cell Chain Steel, being able to Bloodlust the 3-drop Cell so they can't rip away all of your hand advantage on turn 3. Is really cool, and I really like it a lot. That combined with the Ox King Dad at Heart, which basically nullifies their negates. Like, their negates lose so much value because they can't pop your Bardocks, they can't pop your Gotens. They have to pop your Ox Kings, and if you put 2 out, they protect them all. I think gives this deck a really solid Android matchup. As well as this tech card that I have included in here, which is Time Magic. I think this card is really cool. It's unfortunate that its effect isn't for an entire turn, but it has really good utility against the Shenron decks because it's basically a pseudo Mafuba for yellow decks. And also because this deck wants to be super aggressive, you're going to tap out a lot, you're going to be swinging a lot, and by the time your opponent's going to be wanting to put pressure on you, if they're not also playing a super aggressive deck, like turn 3, you should have the Sparking effect live to be able to like stop big hits when you're tapped out. I kind of like the idea of being able to use all of my energy to be aggressive, as well as having a negate to back it up. Moving on, 2 more consistency cards. Planet Vegeta's. Card's really good. Searches out Bardocks, searches out Gotens, searches out anything that doesn't have the swap tag on it if you need it for that turn. Searches out your Sugeshes, which are really cool in this list. It's nice being able to play Shugesh again. No one's had the player on this card in forever, so it's really cool being able to search it out. One battering laser, talked about it a little bit. You need to be able to push through for game, so having at least one battering in the deck that you can see while you're digging through on your first few turns is really good. Also, your leader's a draw leader, or a draw when he awakens leader, so you'll have turns where you draw like 8 cards, 9 cards. So hopefully you'll be able to dig into it, or if it's in life, you'll be able to pick it up. 4 scrambling assaults on Goten. This guy is stupid. It's honestly so dumb paired with the Bardock the Progenitor. Like the fact that you get to put him on the board, swing, look for 3. Really solid card, doesn't need too much explanation, I don't think. He's been in tons of lists so far. The main guy you want to be putting on the board to deal pressure, especially in the early game. And because we're playing a deck that is a little bit lacking when it comes to kill power on its bigger cards, I opted to play 4 Dependable Dynasty Son Goku. This card is really good. 15k, swap 2. So your Bardock, your Son Gohan can swap into it. You'll use all 4 in a game. And then if your opponent doesn't clear them, because it's a vanilla, he just restands, he puts tons of pressure. It's all just really strong. And the fact that the way that it's pretty cool, because he's essentially the combo into play Gohan, except instead you go Bardock swing and then swap back to hand and play a 15k body that you can swing with that turn. And then any pressure you put on early game you can untap with your leader, so you're able to put these bodies on the board that don't have barrier and untap them so that they can't be attacked, and then if you have an Ox King they can't be popped, so it's really good. Moving on, 2 Pure-Hearted Son Goku. If you don't have these because they're a little bit hard to get, you can play any yellow super combo. In my list that I was testing in real life, because I don't have these either, I was just playing 2 of the Jocko. But this guy is cool because it allows you to turn your late game planets into super combos that actually draw cards if you're trying to push for game. So just another way to alleviate dead cards. Moving on to the 2 copies of Unwavering Solidarity Shugesh. This card is fantastic. Oh, it feels so good playing Shugesh into Kid Goku again. The amount of pressure he allows you to put on some terms is great. The fact that you can tap out and not have to worry about not worrying about dying is also really great unless your opponent's swinging with a barrier attacker like on turn 3, which normally doesn't happen. But it allows you to also protect anything you left untapped, because you get to pop all their stuff that comes into play. Allows you to put some of your best 3-drops into play, which are your Power Charge Bardock, this 3-drop thick boy Son Goku, and most importantly your popping rest mode cards, Ultimate Potential SS2 Gohan. This card's really fantastic overall. I didn't like 4 because it was a little too greedy. No one's really playing Krinoa right now, so that's not the real issue. The issue is that sometimes you just want to be drawing cards, and the additional pressure on the additional summons off of Shugesh are not as important sometimes as the draws that you're when you're going for an all-in push on 1 battle card. Moving on, a little bit of a spicy tech to fit with the theme of the Frieza, the Galactic Emperor. Originally my original list had 4 copies of this guy, but I found out I was charging him more turns than not. This guy gets substantially better the later in the game that you go. Like, if I typically don't drop him before turn 4, because by turn 4 you should have a board of like 3, maybe 4 things on the board that you're swinging with that your Frieza can't always restand to protect. So putting this guy on the board to restand all of your stuff is really cool, because it allows you to preserve all of your advantage, and then if you have an Ox King, it preserves it even further. The one thing that this deck does lose to is Kami, the Global Unifier, but in those matchups you can just play around it. I mean, unfortunately that's just what you have to do in a deck like this. And that kind of, if they're playing a Kami, you maybe don't drop the Ox King because it's going to clog your board anyways, and you just leave your 3 battle cards on the board, that 2 of which you can unstand with Frieza. So it kind of sucks. People are maining Kami. We're maining Kami at Nationals. I don't know how much value it got. A lot of people said it wasn't too great, but they were paranoid for the Shenron Veggies matchup. So it might drift away, might be moved to the side deck. So maybe in like a best of 1 format, you might be able to sneak some wins, or be able to sneak around Kami. But if anything else, this card's really cool because it allows you to restand all your stuff, allows you to put on additional pressure on the later turns where sometimes it's hard to maintain your board state, turns 4 and 5. So this is why this guy gets dropped late. I thought I'd be dropping him earlier in the game. Turns out you don't, because you just don't have the energy to. So I like this card. No more than 2 is probably necessary. Continuing on, we have 3 Power Charge Bardock. Sorry. Going back to this guy also, it kind of sucks. because he's not a Goku's lineage card, so you can't one-drop swap into him, which would have been really cool to cheat his energy cost. I guess they thought that was too overpowered, so they didn't give it to him. Either way, still a cool card. I just wish he had Goku's lineage. And then, like I said, 3 Power Charge Bardock. This guy's really cool. He's like the Gohan from BCC 1. When he swings, you can either draw a card or give it double strike for the turn. This is one of the best finishers in the deck also, because we play these 2-drop swaps, so we can pay 2, swap into this, we can Shugesh into this. Like, it's really cool. The swap, like, I like playing a deck where we actually take advantage of the swap mechanic a little more, because it allows us to preserve our cards, it allows us to put pressure on without using without using as much energy. So it's really cool. I like it a lot. But yeah, this guy is just a really solid finisher. He double strike when you need it, drawing cards when you don't. Ox King gives this barrier. The fired up Gohan restands it. Frieza restands it. Like, the whole purpose of the deck is just to preserve your battle cards that you've placed on the board, that you've swapped into. That way you get to stick things on the board, because that can be some of the biggest problems that swap has, is actually keeping things like stuck on the board. A lot of that's alleviated with the barrier swaps, but the barrier swaps don't put as much pressure on, because you're trading in that pressure for the barrier. So this is kind of like to mitigate that. Moving on to Son Goku, the extra thick tournament pack boy, or the champion pack boy. This guy's huge. Just being able to Shugesh out a 30k body in the middle of your opponent's turn, or swap into a 30k body in the middle of your opponent's turn, maybe give it double strike when you swing for game, is just huge. The fact that he's already so big is really an issue, because your opponent on a regular swing has to waste a minimum of 2 to 3 cards to combo out of this attack. So late game, just slapping this down. He's like one of your pseudo finishers in the deck. Not as good as Mirror Creator Absorb, but he is a 3-drop Saiyan that you can Shugesh into, which is really cool. Moving on, we have 3 Ultimate Potential SS2 Son Gohan. This card's really cool. It's a swap 4, 2 energy. Auto, when you play this card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO it. There'll be times when you hardcast it for 3. There'll be times when you Shugesh it into play. There'll be times when you swap into it. It's really nice. I feel like this might be one of the best leaders if you're playing a pure swaps list. Unfortunately, with the way the metagame is right now, I think pure swaps going tall is not necessarily the strategy, because other decks can just get there first. Like your swap 8 plays are like turn 6 or turn 5, turn 6. When your opponent is able to drop their Gogetas and stuff against Shenron lists, they're able to just push you down, take away all your advantage, punch you in the face for game. So it's really, I think the swaps benefit from playing low to the ground right now, which is why I'm only playing up to swap 4. But being able to play the swap 3s and the swap 4s right now is also really cool. I like being able to play these cards. I'm a big fan of Goku's lineage, so being able to play the full lineage deck rather than just Goten Bardock Turbo, punch your opponent in the face till they cry and scoop, is a little less fun. I mean, it's basically the same thing. In the long run, it just doesn't untap as much energy. Instead, it's untapping battle cards all game. And moving on to the last card in this list, we have 3 copies of the Discovered Dynasty Son Gohan. I wanted to swap 4 because I was playing swap 3s that I was Shugeshing out for free, and this guy draws 2 cards, so I thought he was worth playing in the deck. He also has Barrier on his own, which means that even if you drop him with or Ox King doesn't protect him, so even if you drop him by himself, he's fine. He'll be able to be restood by Frieza effect or Gohan effect and just be okay to continue on and stay on the board and apply additional pressure. But like I was saying, when I first busted out this deck against my buddies to test against them, I was like, yo, check out this spicy, teched out meme deck that I was playing, because I was playing like 4 fired up Gohans. I was playing this Frieza leader, and they sat down, and turn 1 I charged the yellow, played a Bardock, took a life, swapped. Turn 2 I did the same thing over and over again, and by turn 4 I had killed the guy. And he was a little upset, because he's like, this isn't even a meme deck, you didn't even play any of these meme cards, this was just Storm. And I was like, yeah, you're kind of right, Storm is pretty good though. So I tweaked it a little bit more, changed up the ratios, because some of the cards that I had at 4 did not need to be at 4. The original deck did not have this Son Goku, but having him in the deck just increases the quality of your Shugesh targets. And also, like I said before, these 4 tech cards weren't in the main deck before. Originally I had 4 Time Magic, no Bloodlust, because I didn't want to play Bloodlust, because it was supposed to be like a just literally stacks of 4 deck that I threw together. But as I was playing it, I was really enjoying playing it, and I think that it's actually a decent rogue contender. which is kind of ironic because he's playing like the best engine in the game, or one of the best engines in the game, which is swaps. But the way that I look at it is just not as cancerous as the other versions of swaps. It's doing what swaps are trying to do on their own without adding the kind of unfair energy untapping that blue has. Going back to time magic, you could definitely just swap this out for Flying Nimbus and play a little bit more conservatively with your energy, because there was times where I was leaving energy up for Bloodlust also. So Nimbus you'll still be able to use throughout the game. If I were to make a side deck for it, Nimbus would definitely be in the side deck at least 3 copies for the matchups where you really need Nimbus, like Storm. Storm is honestly just a better aggro version of this deck. This deck is, I think, a turn to 2 turns slower than your standard Storm deck, so that fact alone makes it a little bit harder of a matchup. But you also do have access to cards like Shugesh, which when they go all in with their Mira Creator Absorb, if they just completely forgot that Shugesh was a card, you can just Shugesh Kid Goku them, drop your own Mira, and then say, screw you mate, learn to play the game. But overall, this is my not Storm deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If the giveaway is still going on, subscribe, leave a comment on the giveaway video. And this has been Logan here with Crossfield TCG. I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile, and I'll see you guys next time.